Afternoon to everyone. I'm Wilfred Frost. I'm an anchor at CNBC, and it's great to be up here with Talmon Marco. The title of our discussion is Building a Fair Sharing Economy, and Talmon couldn't be better qualified for that. As you already just heard, he was founder and CEO of Viber, which very successfully took on Skype, something that was sold in 2014 for about $900 million, and he is now founder and CEO of a new ride-sharing app called Juno. Talmon, why don't you quickly start off, for those that don't know, by giving a quick outline of what Juno is?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me here. Juno is a new kind of ride-sharing company, which is hopefully going to transform not only ride-sharing, but also the sharing economy in general. And our focus is on being ethical and being nice. We like that word, nice. Towards both drivers, so these are the service providers in our industry, and drivers, which typically is you guys.
And of course, the sharing economy we think of as a hugely positive development, enabling all sorts of new forms of consumption. However, you think it needs to be fairer. There are elements of it that take advantage of certain parts of the economy.
The sharing economy is a great thing, but it's also a double-edged sword. I use sharing economy services every day. I use Seamless, I use Postmates, I use our own Juno, and on of these services. They allow you to immediately get services from any number of service providers easily and in a reliable way. So that's the good side. But at the same time, you need to understand that there are also risks associated with the sharing economy, and that is platforms slowly and surely squeezing the little guy, that service provider. And the service provider, we all, people here are probably coming from a tech background, relatively white collar. So we think of the sharing economy is the other. It's the guy showing up with the food delivery. It's the guy behind the wheel. It's not us. It's somebody else. But sharing economy can be any of us. So if you're a lawyer, if you happen to do private tutoring, if you're an accountant, any of these jobs can become and will become in the not too distant future a sharing economy job. There's predictions that within 5 years we're talking about 8% of the economy being sharing economy, and we need to be very careful with that.
So let's take ride-sharing as an example. How is it that you feel at the moment certain workers, certain parts of that equation are being exposed and being taken advantage of?
Okay, let's look at the process of how sharing economy in the context of ride-sharing has evolved. So we go back 3, 4, 5 years. We put 100 drivers, on the roads of Manhattan. We pay them, I think, $80 or so an hour, and we tell them, sit back, relax, and maybe somebody is going to get a ride with you. That's how Uber started. And I don't know if the number $80 is accurate, but that's the rumor. And then riders start coming, and you add a few more drivers and a few more drivers, and fast forward, there you go, you have 25 or 30,000 drivers in New York. The next step, you say, okay, well, guess what? We want even more passengers. We want to lower the barrier to entry for passengers. We are going to reduce the price, and by reducing the price, we are going to give you access to more rides, and guess what? You're going to make more money. And then you continue this path. You keep on reducing the price, reducing the price, reducing the price. And as a driver, you have zero control over it. At some point in time, your earnings, how much you bring home, is going to go below what you used to make. And it's going to continue going lower and lower and lower. And you have nothing that you can do because the passengers, the demand side, is already on the platform. And if you leave the platform, which you're entitled to do, then you have nothing else to do. So you're really locked.
So what do you suggest needs to be done in the sharing economy to create this fair sharing economy that we're talking about? Is it something that needs to be regulated by the government, or we don't need to go that far?
I would not necessarily condone regulation by the government. Government regulation, most of the time, does not bring good things to the table. So too much government definitely not something that I propose. But at the same time, I think that, yeah. But having said that, I think that companies need to self-regulate. They need to be more aware of their social responsibility. And I'll give you an example. In January, Uber reduced prices in New York by 15%. Now, as a passenger, it's like, yes, great. I'm going to spend 15% less on my ride to the next bar or to the airport or to wherever. From a driver standpoint, that means, how did that exactly play out? At 4 p.m., thousands of Uber drivers got a message that said, effective midnight, your rates are going to go down by 15%. Given that you have fixed costs, then actually your take-home is going to go down by 20%. And then there was a statement that says you're going to make more money because of increased demand. But Uber drivers, according to Uber, are already busy for 40 minutes per hour. So to go back to where you were, you'll need to work 25% more, which means 50 minutes an hour just to break even. And to make more money, then maybe you need to work 70 minutes an hour or 80 minutes an hour, which might be difficult.
And at Juno, you're offering better terms to the drivers, but can you remain price competitive with the likes of Uber in the long run? I mean, could it be an eventuality that you need a company like Uber to be able to offer these jobs at all to the drivers?
At Juno, what we're doing a few things. So first of all, we are taking a lower commission from the drivers. The second thing that we're doing, and in no particular order, and that's probably the first thing that we're doing, is we're turning drivers into partners. So our drivers are not just drivers, they're real partners. Uber calls its drivers partners, but one day when they go to self-driving cars or when they go IPO, these drivers are not going to make anything. So if you and I were to start a pizza shop tomorrow and we sold it for $1 billion, it's going to be a great pizza shop.
I like that.
It's going to be beautiful, as one would say. Then I would take $500 million, you would take $500 million because, you know, we're partners. Uber calls drivers partners, but when they go public, the drivers are not going to get anything. And when they go to self-driving cars, as they will surely do in a decade, maybe less, maybe more, the drivers will be like, goodbye.
But how much equity will these drivers be having compared to yourself, for example?
We, the founders, we're going to keep half, and the drivers are going to get the other half. So over time, drivers are building up their equity in the company. So the drivers as a collective are getting half of the founding shares of the company. So Juno is really a partnership between us, the founders, and the drivers. And when you know that when you go to a store and you deal either with an employee or with the owner of the store is always going to be nicer to you. So as a rider, which maybe is not 100% interested in the well-being of the driver, even though a lot of studies show that they do, you're also going to get better service.
So it's both a business reason and a moral reason. You haven't fully launched the service yet, just starting that process up. How's it gone so far in terms of trying to attract drivers, given that you're offering them this equity? Are they open to the suggestion to move to Juno?
Well, that's the great thing. If you happen to be in New York and you look behind the bus, you're no doubt going to see an ad for one of our competitors, an ad for Uber, an ad for Lyft, trying to attract drivers to drive with them because, hey, these are the guys who are normally sitting behind the bus, so it's a pretty obvious place to advertise. Juno never advertised. We never put a single dollar in advertising. We never put a single dollar in referral fees. We never gave a dollar to attract drivers. At the same time, we now have 8,000 drivers in New York. Just by comparison, Uber at the end of January had about 25.9 thousand drivers, and Lyft had under 5,000. So we're the second largest, and not only that, but our drivers are the highest rated in New York. So in order to join Juno, you need to be an active Uber driver, and your rating needs to be 4.70 and above. So we're attracting the best drivers. We're making them we're increasing their motivation, we're paying them more, we're giving them equity, and as far as the passenger is concerned, our rates are exactly the same.
And what's your target? I mean, I understand that Uber kind of 150,000 trips a day, something like that. What's your target over the next 12 months?
I think it's too early to say what are our targets, but I can tell you that we have our internal projections, and we are 1 week into our beta, our public beta. We are roughly where we expected to be after 3 months.
Okay.
So it's going extremely nice.
Mm-hmm. Talmon, we're getting towards the end of the chat, but I've got to ask quickly about driverless cars. Do you think that is the future of not just ride sharing, but driving generally?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so with that in mind, just to go back to your initial point, you're giving the drivers equity, you're giving the drivers better service, but won't they be defunct at some point anyway?
The drivers, no doubt, at some point in time, there will be no drivers behind the wheel. Well, there won't be a wheel. That's you cannot escape that. The question is, what happens then? With Uber, the company tells the drivers goodbye, even though it keeps on promoting the fact that it's behind amazing job creation and everything. But as soon as they have a machine driving that car, the driver is what Uber calls deactivated. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, with Juno, even though we will no longer require the services of these drivers, the drivers continue to enjoy the fruit of their labor through the sheer fact that they are equity owners mm-hmm. in the company. So I think this is the first time since probably the Industrial Revolution where you see a set of people being made redundant by technology, but still getting to enjoy the fruit of their labor.
The fruits of that development. Well, Talmon, we look forward to seeing how it all plays out. Juno's fully operational. When do we expect that? When will we all have it on our phones using it?
Well, here's the good news. Juno is currently in public beta. If you want to join our public beta, you can just go to the App Store and download Juno. You should have no problem to download it, App Store or Google Play, of course. And to activate your account, all you have to do is go to gojuno.com/beta, enter your phone number, and your account will be activated. We're giving 35% discount during the public beta. It's a way of compensating customers for the fact that there's still some issues. It's still a new service. We're not surging at the moment during the public beta, mm-hmm. so yet another reason to use Juno. And the most important reason is the fact that you're going to get the best drivers in New York, and they're really going to love you. And they will show it to you in every single ride how much they appreciate you riding with Juno.
Talmon, great stuff. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure speaking to you. And of course, next year we'll come back and talk about our billion-dollar pizza empire that we'll be creating together. Talmon, Marco, thank you very much.
Thank you.